Well, we poured the slab about 6 days ago. You can see there's still some moisture coming out of it. It'll be several more weeks before it's fully cured. When it was drying, we were noticing some thin, long cracks appearing, which I guess are just surface cracks that are because our mix was pretty wet, and I guess that can happen when it's drying quickly. I don't think the camera's really gonna pick them up, and I've been buffing them out a little bit. I was gonna come back and cut controlled joints with the power saw and a masonry blade, but my research was telling me now that I'm supposed to do that in the first 24 hours, or else like the cut might chip out and not look very good, so I may have to err on the side of laziness and just roll the dice on not having them. The inner surface is a little rough because we mostly finished it with a bowl float. I had a Fresno, but had some technical difficulties or educational deficiencies on using it, so the center had some long lines left by the bowl float. I left them going the long ways just so there'd be the fewest number of them. But I was working on that today, just going over the surface with this type tool, floor chisel, and this chisel. So I was able to take pretty much all the height out of the high spots, which was good. So if you've got a not great surface, you may be able to improve it by doing that. And then when there's some grit on the surface there, just like scuffing around with my tennis shoes, seems like that was also helping to sort of polish off some of the rough spots. So yeah, I mean, I was able to float around the edges, but I'm also trying to make sure those are as flat as possible. It's going to be a 4x6 timber perimeter to support the walls. So that's the plan. Tomorrow I'll sweep off all this surface and try to get down a coat of this cure and seal stuff. And then there's going to be kind of an exposed perimeter on the slab of about 3 inches. Or the timbers will sit back about 3 inches from the edge of the slab, so I also want to do a stripe of this stuff around the exposed perimeter so that I don't get water infiltrating into the slab from the little exposed strip. So I did get that concrete sealer put down. You can probably see the cracks better now. We got some moisture overnight, and you can see the moisture is getting through the sealer in the cracks and pinholes. But, not too worried about it. Then I also went around the perimeter with that waterproofing paint. Just did like a 9-inch swipe. There was some like cracks or gaps between the frame and the concrete. Like the concrete probably shrunk and pulled away just a little bit, so I was back brushing and really trying to gloop that paint in there, which I think is working. But I've got some left over. I might need to do some touch up on some spots. Hopefully that'll keep that from being a moisture entry point. I kind of went back and forth on whether I should have some kind of membrane or tar paper or something underneath these timbers, but I opted against it. Just I got this galvanized flashing. It's a 3x2 going all the way around, and then I'll put a fat bead of silicone all the way around, and hopefully that'll keep water from getting underneath it. But yeah, I got the timbers all squared out and bolted down. This is day 14 of the concrete pour, so I didn't crank down on the bolts real hard. Still a couple weeks before the concrete reaches its full strength, but I did get them snugged down to the concrete. So Getting ready to build some walls. Well, like the song says, I am the wall, Russ. It's going to be a 12 by 20 building. Just one big flat roof. Front wall's 10 feet, rear wall's 8 feet. The kind of standard construction is 1 2x4 every 16 inches. And I've got it doubled up every 24, so I've got one more stud per 3 feet, but wider gaps. I'm not sure what big difference that makes, but I just don't like butting up my plywood on a single 2x4. Gives you like 3/4 of an inch, which comes down to like 3/8 of an inch of meat holding your stuff on there, and not much room for error, although I try not to make errors. I've got drilled holes in my base plate so I can access these bolts holding the timbers to the slab and get a little more torque on there at some point. Otherwise, carry on my framer, son. You need a roof before you are done. Pretty much 100% framed out on this building now. I thought the overhangs might be a little bit bigger, but I guess that's about what you're going to get with a 16-foot rafter and a 12-foot wall. I think it's more just that the 10-foot front wall is a little bit bigger in reality than my imagination. Just a flat roof. I've got little scabs coming up off the top plate to accept the rafters. And then also got some big lag bolts going down through them. But done that before, it works pretty well. Then I'll put plywood across those to fill in those gaps. I framed out a loft right here, which I thought would just be a storage loft, because I didn't think it'd be big enough for a sleeping loft, but after doing it, it seems like somebody could crawl up there and sleep. It's like 3 feet tall there at the tallest point, which might be a little less claustrophobic than I thought it could be. And I got a couple cross beams on this one too, because the front wall is like 3 pieces, the left, right, and header connecting them, so having some more connections from the rear wall to the front wall is good. That's how a normal truss works. Front wall's 10 feet, the rear wall's 8 feet, or approximately. The slope of the roof is 10.58 degrees. A little bit more than 2 and 12. Well, I got the exterior totally sheathed now, and hopefully we'll get to a more weatherproof situation with the roof over the next couple days. I spent the last couple days trying to put the roof over my head here. I've got to a tar paper level, which should be pretty water resistive for next interim. Got the bottom layers there, 3/4 plywood, and then I've got a synthetic underlayment, 5/8 sheetrock, and then the heavy asphalt tar paper. The sheetrock, there's kind of unconventional usage probably. I know it's got some kind of fire resistive properties, which is the main reason I put it there. So if there's a fire in the roof structure, which I guess is kind of common in wildfires, then that might help minimize it. Worst case, it'll be kind of a thermal mass to help resist heat gain in the summer. Hopefully it does something, because there's a bear getting it up there, and they don't call it sheetrock because it's light. So I got the underlayment layers on, kind of surrounding it, so hopefully keep that dry too. Then I'll do metal panels on top of this before too long. Need to trim a little bit of this excess off, and then I'll put another piece of flashing coming down this way. We're definitely getting somewhere. I got the gutter, and the most part of the roof is done. Gutter seems to be functioning. Put this strip of really sticky rubber flashing down around the bottom to go over the top of the metal flashing and stick to the plywood, which is something I probably should have done on some other things I built, but live and learn. I still got one metal roof panel there. It's where the chimney's going to go through, so it's not done yet. And then a piece of flashing across the top. And I got the rafter gaps filled in with more plywood boards, with a few of them got some built-in vents for passive ventilation. I'm kind of losing track on some of these video updates, but I'm sure the last one must have been very exciting, insofar as no siding had been installed yet. But now there's really something to get excited about. I got all the fiber cement panels on. Still got to add corner trim, window trim, some other trim. I'm contemplating whether to add batten strips on the vertical seams. It's either that or just fill them with silicone, but I'm not sure if it's worth it or not. A little bit complicated with that rain drip seam. I'm not totally sure how the battens will play with that, but decisions. Insides. There's the wood stove. The wood stove is standing in the way of the roof being totally done. But yesterday I was getting some insulation into this corner. I had some extra fiber cement, so I'm going to side this corner with fiber cement just for the extra fire protection and thermal mass. And because it'd be a pain in the butt to do that with the wood stove in the way. It's going to go in this corner, so that's what's going on. Wood stove will probably be its own video. I got the windows trimmed out now, and the steel flashing on the corners and some of the side trim areas. I use this PVC trim material for the windows. I used a router to put a bevel on the top and the bottom edge. For some reason my circular saw wanted to kick when I was trying to finish cuts. It's a little bit annoying, but we got it done. Haven't used that material too much, but should be durable. That piece of flashing on the roof just got some boards and bricks holding that and the last roof panel on. It's just the chimney installing the door before I'm pretty fully weatherproof. I might still add the batten strips, but I did silicone the gaps, so we should be alright. I think my caulk application skills are still developing. Doesn't have a, I'm not sure what looks better, like this strip, or I tend to have a habit of doing a strip like that and then running my finger through it, which may not make it any better, but should be ready for the weather. We're pretty well done on the major construction for this project. Yesterday I got the front door and finished the roof with the wood stove install. Still need to put my rain tank there and hook it up to the gutter. But pretty much ready for the weather. There's the front door. Trimmed out the windows on the exterior. Still the question of the batten strips, but that can definitely wait for a while. So, there's pile insulation. There's the loft, about 3 feet at its tallest. Right now it's crammed full of insulation. And eventually there'll be like a big work desk in this corner and a large bed in that corner. Got sort of a cathedral going on in here. There's the wood stove. Still need to put some fire bricks in it and read some more directions before I have my first fire, but then eventually there'll be solar gear in this corner. My array will be on the other side of this wall, down the hill a little bit, and then probably just do a custom inbuilt shelving or something, so at the bottom I'll hide the gear and put some shelves above it. That's my plan. And then of course that screen door needs to go on. In the future we'll have a mini fridge there running off solar, maybe a little kitchenette, and the bed. A lot of insulating to do. What's a pirate's favorite thing about insulation? The R value. Anyway, I need to get that done, but there'll be some wiring to run in the walls, which was kind of needs to get done before that. So, interior windows need trim. There's a lot of stuff that can still be worked on, but major construction is done, so I think I'm going to call this the end of that video. Maybe I'll do a update post in the future. But yeah, major construction's done. I'm ready for the rain.